Hey everyone, I'm back, and today we're going to be talking about The Boy and the Heron. And this movie is directed by Hayao Miyazaki, and it came out in 2023. And it also won Best Animated Feature Film at the Oscars. I thought I should point that out. And the original title for this movie, from what I understand, translates to How Do You Live? Which, I don't know, it doesn't really matter to me. I get that How Do You Live might seem a bit too dark for what this movie is going for. I get why it would be titled that, but ultimately it doesn't really matter which title you prefer. I personally don't have a preference as to which one I like better. But moving on, before I get into my thoughts on The Boy and the Heron, I would quickly like to go through the previous Miyazaki films and which ones I've seen, and it'll show you how much I love his movies. And starting with Castle in the Sky. I love Castle in the Sky. I love My Neighbor Totoro. I've enjoyed Kiki's Delivery Service. I really love Porco Rosso. It might be my favorite. I'll have to rewatch it. And Princess Mononoke I really enjoyed. Same with Spirited Away. I have also seen Howl's Moving Castle. Another one that I thoroughly enjoyed and thought was great. And I haven't seen The Wind Rises or Ponyo yet, but this one I was disappointed by, honestly. I had a basic idea of what to expect from this movie, simply because I was familiar with his other works, and I was honestly curious as to how things would flow in this movie. And honestly, I thought the movie started strong, and the way it opened kind of reminded me of Grave of the Fireflies in terms of setting things up, like the beginning of that movie, not the opening scene. But I thought it was really great, and we started off really strong. I was like, okay, I'm with this. I'm interested to see where this goes. And it's a period piece, takes place in World War II, and I liked what it was exploring thematically. And eventually we get 30 minutes into the movie, and the things that I was attached to just kind of fades away. And I was like, okay, this kind of feels like we're going through the motions, but I was kind of fine with it because My Neighbor Totoro was kind of like that. The stakes are kind of low and not much really happens. And it's more about the characters and what you get from them. And even something like Kiki's Delivery Service, a very simple movie, but what we get, I kind of like. And then about halfway through, it becomes closer to Spirited Away or Princess Mononoke. And I'm like, okay, this is kind of off. This felt a little bit different, but let's see how this plays out. Sure, it got better. I was more interested to see where things were going, but ultimately, I just felt as though what it offered was nothing new that I didn't get out of his previous movies, and it just felt like a worse version of all of his previous movies. And all of the elements that I like about Miyazaki films are here, much like a movie like Asteroid City. And the reason I bring this up is because in Asteroid City, all of the elements that I like about the director, Wes Anderson, are in that movie. However, it just doesn't really come together all that well when it comes to paying things off or keeping me engaged or having something to chew on. It just felt like a waste. And also, this movie did feel like a combination of all of the director's previous movies into one movie, kind of like how I felt about Django Unchained. And although I still like Django Unchained, that's one thing about it that was a little bit distracting, but here it's like everything. You get Castle in the Sky. You get everything. My Neighbor Totoro. You get Kiki's Delivery Service. You get Howl's Moving Castle. You get a little bit of Princess Mononoke. You get a little bit of Spirited Away. All of these things just mash into one movie, and there you go. That's The Boy and the Heron. But going back to positives, I did think the animation was great for this movie. And I was kind of expecting it to be great. And it did look great, although there were a couple moments where there were a few shots where the animation looked a little like a 3D animation. Just the way it was shot or presented, it just looked a little bit off for me. But aside from that, the animation was mostly pretty great, and the music I really enjoyed as well. I thought it added a lot. The movie is well shot throughout, and you can see everything clearly, and the way things are communicated visually, I also like. And I didn't really have any criticisms with the performances. I thought everyone was pretty good. I wasn't taken out by the performances. It's just that I wish that it was in service of something that I connected with. Like, I didn't really find any of the characters to be interesting. They kind of give the main character something in the beginning. Like, he has a couple things, and then after a certain point, it's like, oh, we kind of forgot about that, and we're just moving on. And then we get into the third act, and by the end of it, you have something there, but it just doesn't really feel like it matters all that much. And to its credit, the thing that it brought up at the end of the movie, I wasn't expecting, but it just felt like a waste, honestly. The second half is where I was more engaged with, but unfortunately, where I take issue with it is, despite it being more interesting, it also just felt rushed. Like, they just crammed in so many things to the point where they didn't really develop things properly to make it interesting. It never got over-explained with anything, but unfortunately, it just doesn't give you enough. Like, it just feels like you're watching a few different movies at once, like I've said already, and it just doesn't complement the film. I also never once felt tension throughout the entire film. I never once believed that the main character was in any danger and at any given moment throughout the entire movie, which was so sad because I was trying to get into this movie from any possible angle, and it just never worked for me. And honestly, I just do feel as though this movie focuses on the wrong things, unfortunately. Like, it has ideas of what could be interesting, but unfortunately it just doesn't really commit to any specific lane. You either have to pick a lane and make it work and have it be nice and simple, or just give more time to all these different things so you can develop them and make them interesting like you did at your previous films. That would just be the way to do it, honestly. And that's about all I have to say about The Boy and the Heron. It was okay, I guess. I watched this movie with my mom, and she's seen, I believe, every single Miyazaki film that I mentioned, and she was very disappointed with this one, and her favorite one is My Neighbor Totoro. She's enjoyed quite a few others, and apparently a lot of people seem to have really enjoyed this movie, but unfortunately I just have to go with the side of not really enjoying it all that much, so check this movie out if you want. I would recommend watching it if you're already a fan of the director, but don't be surprised if this doesn't stand out as something like unique or just something different, because if you want a really great Miyazaki film, there are much better ones, honestly. And this one just didn't really connect with me all that well, so with all that being said, I'm going to give The Boy and the Heron a 5 out of 10. Thank you for watching my videos. As always, if you enjoyed this review, be sure to leave a like and comment down below what you thought of The Boy and the Heron, and my social media links. They will all be in the description, so follow me there. And last but not least, subscribe to be a part of Foley Nation, and I'll see you when I get my next review up, and that is going to be for Pig. So look forward to that, but until I get that up, thank you for watching and have a great day.